All right, so now it's all about the mouth, guys. I've got the mouth page opened up. I really like, and I'll kind of point out which one that I like to look at as a good reference. It's a bit over-exaggerated, but I think it's good because it highlights some of the differences in the lips, is this one right here. A few things that you want to take note of when you're looking at your lips, okay, is that your upper lip, 9 times out of 10, is going to be wider than your bottom lip. Okay, so if you look at yourself in the mirror, you can see that top lip stretches out farther and wider than your bottom lip. The other thing that you guys are going to notice too, and this is of course going to have to deal with shading, is that you're going to get a lot of shadows underneath your bottom lip. Just because, and if you look, the middle section of your lips here, it juts out, like it sticks out from your face. But when you look at the sides, like the sides here, those are flat to your face. So because this sticks out, you get a lot of shadows that happen around in those areas, okay? And then, of course, we have our creases. Now, the midpoint, okay, and we call it the midpoint or the midline. So the midline of your lips here, I often at times refer to it as like a smushed M. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to figure out where the middle of our lips are, or where that midline is, so where that lower part of the M is, and then we're going to kind of work our way from the center out, and then we'll build up the top lip and then go to the bottom lip. Okay? So there's that. But this handout's a nice one to look at, and I especially like that illustration. All right, so we're going to go back to our little Post-it note that has the width of our eye on it, so grab your Post-it note. We want to just make sure that we have our lips in the right spot, okay? So let's re-measure again. Now that we've got our nose drawn on, okay, let's measure again how much space is between, and we're going to do a little bit more than we did the first time. We're going to measure how much space is between like our nose and our top lip, the midline, and the bottom lip. We're going to do all three, okay? So use your little Post-it note. I'm getting lucky here because my midline is about half the distance of an eye away. So if you guys see this, I'm moving my lips pretty good here. Let me just do it again. Yep. Oh, wait. I used the wrong one. I think I was right then. I was right. Okay, so make any adjustments where you need to. So I've got my midline. Now I'm going to try to measure the space between the bottom of my nose to my top lip. And I'm going to go to the, and I'll show you here on this drawing, I'm going to measure from the bottom of my lip to the basically this low part of the M. So that part. Just because, I mean, it's an easy landmark for me. You can use something else, but that's what I'm going to be doing. So again, I'm going to go back, I'm going to take my Post-it note, put it up against my face, measure from the bottom of my nose to that dip in my M. About halfway. So that's where the low part of my top lip is. And then I'm going to, again, measure off of my midline and just see how thick, basically, or how far away my bottom lip is. Less than a fourth. All right, so what I've got there is basically my top edges. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out how wide my mouth is. Now I'm going to zoom out for this. Okay, I need to figure out how wide it is. So I'm going to go back to plumb and level. I'm going to use my 4H pencil. And I'm going to put my 4H pencil right up on my face, looking at myself in the mirror. And I'm going to put it right at the edge of my mouth. And I'm going to see where that vertical line hits my eye. So I'm basically trying to figure out just where this needs to go. Okay? Figure out where that needs to go. So again, I'm going to be drawing another vertical line. So this is where I believe it hits my eye. And then also, too, I can look at how far away it is from my nose, too. Or how it is aligned with my nose. And do it again on the other side. Again, it's not the same. Oh, it's so different. So I'm figuring out just how wide my mouth is, and I'm using, again, plumb and level, trying to figure out if I draw a vertical line at the edges of my mouth and I draw those up, where would they hit my eyes? This is why it's so important that our eyes are right, because if your eyes are wrong, if you have your irises too big and you're using those, you see a correlation between the alignment of the mouth and your irises, and the irises are wrong, then your mouth's going to be wrong. Okay, so now I know how wide my mouth is. So now I'm going to start drawing this in. Now I could, if I want to, I did not measure, the space in between my nose and the top peaks of my lips. I could do that if I want to, but I'm going to go ahead and just start with my midline and draw that out. And as I go through it, I am going to, again, continue to use plumb and level to help me figure it out. I'm going to use my nose. So if I look at these peaks right here on my midline, the top of my N. So what I'm asking is, where does that hit my nose if I draw those up? If I draw those up, where does that hit my nose? And my midline's not really shapely. And then you'll notice, too, that your midline kind of angles down. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to draw that midline all the way to the edge of where I see my mouth. So again, I'm drawing my midline. I'm not sure if this slope is right, so again, I can measure it. I'll measure off my nose. I'll use my Post-it note, figure out just, what is the distance from, this edge to here. It's about half an eye. So it looks like I need to lift it up. Need to lift it up a lot. Actually, I might have measured that wrong. I did. Okay, turns out I'm right. Okay, I'm right. After I get that midline and I'm okay with it, actually need to do a little something here. Got a little dip. So now I'm going to go ahead and start drawing my top lip. Now at some point on my top lip I do see it just kind of blend into my midline. You want to be careful that you don't look like you have one of those, like my kids come home with these sometimes from these little classroom parties. They have the big lips that you can put on. You just don't want your lips to look like that. So when I get to about right here, I actually see my midline, and this is the case for a lot of us, our midline extends past our lips. So my lips don't start till about right here. And then I'm just going to build this up. And I think that's too high. And I'm looking at where the peaks of my top lip hit. Again, I'm using plumb and level, figuring out where that hits my nose. And just connecting everything. Draw it in wrong first and then fix it up. Now what I've noticed too on mine, my peaks of my M on my midline do not match up with the peaks of my top lip. They do not align with each other. They're off. And then after I've got something that I feel like I can work with on the top lip, I'll draw my bottom lip. Again, my bottom lip is not as wide as my top, so it ends shorter. Just got to figure out how short. And again, both sides are not the same. And then a lot of times the end of our mouths, we just have like a little hook. Now, in addition to your lips, what you can do too, we've got that little kind of dip that we have right here between the nose and the mouth. You can go ahead and add that. And again, use plumb and level to figure out where that's got to go. I'm going to draw it very lightly because a lot of that's going to be dealt with when I shade. It's not going to stay a contour. Okay, so that's basically how you do the mouth.